Hi everyone, in today's video I want to show you how to create watercolor paper texture on your canvas using Procreate. So let's take a look at the effect. So this is a very typical cold press watercolor paper texture, and I have this digital art on the paper. Let me turn off the texture to let you see the difference. So this is without the paper texture, and this is with the paper texture. So the main reason why we want to do this, why we want to create this paper effect, is to make digital art look less digital. So it's really simple. Let's start with a blank canvas. Now that we have a blank canvas, let's select the brush to use, go into the sketching set of brushes and choose soft pastel, and choose a color from the color palette that is light gray, maybe 20% or 30% gray, and then zoom out. Make sure your canvas is very small and use your finger to paint over the canvas. Let's zoom in again, and now we have the watercolor paper texture. And now let's draw something really quickly. I'm going to create a new layer to draw the lines on that layer. I'm going to pick a darker brush. I'm going to pick this 6B pencil, also from the same sketching set of brushes. And I'm just going to draw a small tree very quickly. And now I'm going to create a new layer to paint the leaves. For the leaves, I'm going to choose this green color. And for the brush, I'm going to go into the artistic set of brushes and pick this brush called Terra Lea. I'm not sure if this is default in the set. Anyway, you can choose other brushes to paint the leaves. So I'm just going to dab the leaves here and there. And for the tree trunk, I'm going to create another layer. For this layer, I'm going to put it behind the lines. For the tree trunk, I'm going to paint with this color. Oops, this is too big. Okay, so right now we don't see the paper texture. The reason for that is because the paper is beneath the paint. So what we want to do now is to bring the texture layer all the way up above the leaves, and we can see that it makes everything look a bit dull. So what we want to do now is to change the blending mode from normal to multiply. And now we can see the paper texture affecting the paint. You can turn the texture on or off to see the effect, or you can change the blending mode to see what kind of effect you like. I'm going to stick with multiply now. If you don't want the texture to be that obvious, you can change the opacity, the transparency of the paper texture. So you can actually make it more transparent just to give a hint of the paper texture. Now, if you find the paper grain to be too big or too small, you can change the scale of the paper grain. So in this case here, let's make the paper grain bigger, because now it looks like it's a bit too small. So I'm going to select the layer with the paper texture and then click this arrow button here, which is going to transform the scale of this layer. So I'm going to click here and scale it up. And once you drag that box, it's going to scale up the paper grain. So let me make this a bit smaller so that I can scale it much faster. So now you can see the paper grain, it's much bigger. Another way to change the paper grain is to go into the adjustment settings here and choose curves. So for curves, you can also make the texture more or less obvious, so you can make the paper really rough. Alright, let's say you want to change the color of the paper grain. You can do so very easily. Just create a new layer. I'm going to turn off the previous watercolor paper, and I'm going to pick this warm color. I'm going to use the same soft pastel brush. By the way, I have the canvas so small like this because I can just cover the whole thing with just a few swipes. If I have the canvas so big, I have to go over it several times. So now you can see the paper, it's slightly off-white, it's a bit warmer. And we can change the blending mode from normal to multiply again. And we can see some texture affecting the paint as well, and the paper is now off-white. I actually prefer the paper to be white, so I'm just going to turn this off and turn the white paper back on. Alright, so I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye!